My name is Catherine Blattner, originally from Hillsboro, Oregon, where I was one of 5 kids. Grew up with 3 brothers and a sister. For the past 7 years, I've worked as a strength and conditioning coach prior to going into the fire service. I am now assigned to Station 1, Shift A.
Hi, I'm probationary firefighter Alan Chung. A little bit about myself. I'm currently 31 years old. I grew up here in Southern California. Before Long Beach, I served as a reconnaissance platoon leader in the United States Army, a total of 9 years, and I received my honorable discharge and went on to a sales career in the civilian world. But I quickly found myself really missing the camaraderie and sense of purpose that I felt in the Army, and that's what moved me to pursue a career in the fire service. So I'm really fortunate to be here with Long Beach Fire Department. I think this is a fantastic career with one of the best fire departments in the nation, and I'm currently assigned to Station 10.
I'm probationary firefighter Jesse Hopkin, born and raised in Long Beach, California, 34 years old with a wife and 2 kids. I was in the military for about 10 years, served in the United States Marine Corps and then in the United States Army where I was wounded overseas. Was a wildland firefighter following that and currently stationed at Station 7.
I am probationary firefighter Mike Martin. I'm 39 years old. I was born in southeastern Wisconsin and lived there my entire life up until about 5 years ago when I moved to California. Married 12 years to my amazing wife, and I have 2 young sons, 10 and 7 years old. My hobbies were surfing and snowboarding and camping before I had kids, but now they mostly consist of kid activities. And I'm currently stationed at Station 9 on the C shift.
Hi, I'm probationary firefighter Katie Reyna. I'm originally from a small town called Acton, California. I moved to San Diego about 5 years ago. I am one of 4 siblings and 2 older brothers, a younger sister. I'm 30 years old and I just got my station. I'm going to Station 10 in Long Beach.
I think the hardest part for me of Academy was letting go of mistakes. I think all of us have a little bit of a perfectionist mentality going into this. You can't have that mentality because you're going to make mistakes, and what they're evaluating you on is how you recover. So if you consistently beat yourself up for a mistake that you did, then chances are you might make another mistake and another mistake. So you really need to purge your prior mistakes, focus on your next task, and that's how you're going to be successful through this academy. I had to learn that really early on, and it changed my mentality going forward. But I wish I knew that going into it, or I wish I had practiced that going into Academy.
I believe the most difficult part of the Academy was the breadth of knowledge that the cadre demanded that we learned, and also the level of detail that we were expected to perform those tasks. For myself, this was my first fire academy, and I had no prior fire service to rely upon. So learning the wide range of tasks and also getting to the level of standard that we were expected to in such a short amount of time. It is a 16-week academy, but there's 5 different blocks with multiple skills we have to learn. And oftentimes for a very challenging skill, we might only have 2 weeks, which would give us maybe 6-7 times to practice it on the drill ground. So not only were the tasks difficult in and of themselves, but really it was a race to learn it to the expected level of competency in a limited amount of time.
So the most difficult part of the academy would have to be the emotional struggles that we incurred. Totally wasn't expecting it whatsoever. Definitely emotionally taxing for the family if you're married, or your mothers and fathers. And then also emotionally taxing for yourself, just studying constantly, working the long days, and then constantly going home and have to study at night. So I definitely have to say that was the most difficult part of the academy for myself.
The most difficult part of the academy for me would be overcoming failure. Anytime you make a mistake on the drill grounds, you really had to focus on moving forward and continuing successfully. You could not dwell for 1 second on what had just transpired that could have possibly caused a failure, or even the slightest mistake. You know you made it, but others might not, and that can stick with you. You just got to be able to purge that and keep moving.
I would say block 3 is the most difficult part because you're in your gear longer throughout the whole training process, and that block has so much to it that it is longer, so you have more days in block 3 than all the other blocks, and so it's just like time consuming every day, back in your gear, doing something else. So that would be the hardest part.
The most unexpected part of Academy for me, I think, was the amount of sweat that we endured every day in our turnouts, in the heat, in the fire, whatever. You're going to lose a lot of water, and if you ever don't come in prepared, don't hydrate the night before, you're going to feel it that next day. You're going to get dizzy. You need to take care of yourself before the day starts, not after you've started to sweat and lose all that water. It's really hard to make up for that once you've lost it.
I think the most unexpected part of the academy was the high level of standards here. It really was unprecedented, even compared to things that I'd experienced in the military, some of the schools I'd went through the military. There is a very well-defined standard for performance here with Long Beach that they demand of all the recruits coming in. And there really is no leeway there. You're expected to perform, and if you don't, it will cost you your job here. You know, looking back on that experience, it is a source of immense pride, not just for myself, but all my other fellow recruits, that we were able to succeed. It also gives me a great deal of confidence knowing that everyone within this department met that level of excellence.
The most unexpected part of the academy would have to be, didn't expect to form such tight bonds with fellow recruits. We came real tight literally about 2 weeks into the academy, I would say, and just the bond we have now, and we have new brothers and sisters, that something I didn't expect coming to this at all. I thought it'd be more just come to class and do your time, go home, but no, you're constantly with them 24/7, studying, preparing for tests, drills, on the phone with them. Definitely, I'm proud to call every last single one of them my brother and sister.
The most unexpected part of the academy for me would definitely be the amount of hands-on experience, the time in turnouts, fighting fires, real situations, as real as they could make it. I had attended a basic academy, and I can't even compare it to what I experienced here. It is just by far, can't even quantify it.
The most unexpected part, I believe, is just getting together with your class. I know we all have to be on the same page, but meeting way earlier than you need to be, you know, and then you're waiting at the park together with everybody and just hanging out for half an hour, and then we go in. And we still haven't started yet, we're still setting up, and that early morning where it's unexpected.
How did I and how should you prepare for the academy? I think that one thing that you cannot fake is your physical fitness. You can't fake it. If you're not fit, it's going to show. If you're not fit, you're going to have a harder time in these evolutions. You're going to have a harder time thinking when you're exhausted. So you need to take your exercise and your preparation very seriously going into this academy. I prepared I had a set of turnouts. Obviously, I worked at a gym, so I had access to a lot of different materials. But what I didn't have was the adaptation to heat. You're going to get very hot, and that's for some people very difficult to overcome. Me working out in my turnouts felt very, I don't want to say natural, but it felt a little bit easier coming into academy because I did so much in my turnouts prior to coming to academy. So if you have any way of accessing turnouts or even sweatshirts trying to, you know, adapt to heat, that would be very beneficial coming in.
So for me, going into this, I didn't really know what to expect, especially since I hadn't served in the fire career and I hadn't had a prior academy. I did try to prepare physically as best as I could, and looking back, I think that was probably the most important thing that any recruit could go in. Fortunately, with our class, I looked around, we had some very fit individuals, and that made a very big difference, especially when you're on the drill ground 10 hours a day in turnouts. The baseline level of physical fitness isn't enough because even at that level, you're going to be focused too much on your physical exhaustion to pay attention to these very mentally and physically demanding tasks that need to be done. If you can arrive here in a very high level of fitness, you're not going to be worried about that, and you can spend your energy focusing on learning these tasks.
I prepared for the academy by going over a lot of EMS stuff because I heard it was very heavy in the Long Beach Fire Academy. But I quickly realized that I should have did a lot more preparing as far as things at home with the family, with my wife and daughters, getting the finances in order, because you don't have any time to take care of any of that throughout the 16 weeks here. I would also suggest coming in physically prepared. Do all you can so that physical fitness level is already there, so you're not working on that and you're able to focus more in the book studies and in learning your skills. If you don't have a construction background, it would be good to go in and find somebody that maybe work construction or getting online, watching YouTube videos and learning building construction as far as just how things are built, roofs are built. It's going to come in handy.
In preparing for the academy, unknowingly I set myself up for success, and that's something I heard a lot on the drill grounds from the cadre. And that included family, letting my wife and kids know exactly what we were going to be doing and what the next 4 months were going to look like, and having them totally on board with it was huge. I would also say finances, knowing that you are able to see yourself through this financially and not have to be concerned about where your next rent check was going to come from or groceries on the table for your wife or whomever, handling that kind of thing. Living quarters. I had lived with about 5 others that were here in the academy part-time, so I would transverse back home a few days a week and then stay here a few days a week. That was a very big help because you have a lot of like-minded individuals that are focusing on the same thing that you are, constantly quizzing each other, and you don't have the distractions that you might get at home. Physically, the academy is extremely taxing physically, and you can't over-prepare for it. So whatever you're doing, max it out, push yourself further, because this is going to be an extremely difficult 4 months. And then lastly, mentally, like I said before, a past academy was helpful and as an introduction, but it was not a drop in the bucket compared to what you're going to go through here.
I went to a fire academy, a college fire academy before this, and actually I did it from January to May. So I've been to 2 academies in 1 year. So I think that closeness of the academies have actually prepared me, because I was in shape and I was ready to go, so I just kept up my shape during summer and then I started again. I started studying prior because I had access to the DTM. So I started studying prior to starting drill school, so I was a little bit more prepared even day one.
So if I could do academy over again, I would go into every day with the expectation for myself that I'm here to learn, and I'm not here to be perfect yet. You need to come in with this expectation that you're going to make mistakes. I think early on in the academy, I put a lot of pressure on myself. Everybody focuses on points. You can't focus on those. You can only focus on the fact that you need to open your eyes, open your ears, and keep your mouth shut, is what they'll tell you a lot. If you do that, you will be successful. If you focus on points and what can go wrong and what you did wrong, it's going to make it a little bit harder for you. So if I could go back block 1, I'd focus a little bit less on what mistakes I made in a day. I'd focus a lot more on what's coming up next.
If I could do the academy over again, I was so focused on getting through here, getting the badge, performing to the standards, I kind of lost sight of how enjoyable it really was. We really got to do some amazing things over the last 16 weeks, and I really grew close with all of my fellow students. But at the end of the day, I only got to do that once. Even one day out of the drill school, I look back and I miss it. So, obviously keep your head in the game, do the best you can, but really enjoy this, because it is a really significant chapter of my life. I mean, it was a huge opportunity and blessing to be here. So for anyone going through this, take the time and really be thankful for where you are.
Preparing more with my littermates, doing a lot more study sessions with them, just so you could bounce ideas off each other, and it might be something that you're missing from the reading material or that somebody has a better understanding of that could help you understand the material better and be more successful out there on the drill field.
I would definitely slow down in my evolutions. That was one of the things that I was often told, was to slow down, take a step back, and get out of the idiot box and see what was really going on around me, instead of just focusing on that laser-focused task at hand and see what else was going on in the drill grounds. I would definitely slow down, gather situational awareness of what was going on around me, and be able to make better decisions.
If I could do the academy over, what I would do different is I would work out more on my days off. I did work out during like EMT and stuff on my days off, but after like block 3 and stuff, I mean, we're all exhausted, but just going to the gym and moving would have been, I would have done that differently.
What advice would I give to a recruit coming into the next class? I would say earn it every single day and come in with the mentality that you have not arrived yet, that you have a lot to learn, and that's okay. Always look for the hardest job to do and do it to the best of your ability. This academy truly values effort, and you're not going to be perfect, and no one expects you to be perfect, but as long as you're putting forth full effort, you're going to be successful, and I truly believe that. Always look after your learner mates. These are people that are going to do anything for you, and I've had many, many examples of that throughout my academy. Academy is fun. People are going to scare you before it starts, but if you come in every single day and you are having fun, you're going to do academy right. This is something that you only get to do once. Enjoy it.
Get on board with each other before. Once you guys know that you're in this class, you pass backgrounds and the medical, start getting in touch with each other in the beginning and build those relationships now and build those bonds so that you guys are already prepared as a class to have that camaraderie coming into it. I would also suggest the class maybe get on Slack or have some kind of text message system. They're just able to communicate with each other and start studying ahead of time. I wish we kind of would have done that a little bit more.
The advice that I would give to the next recruit class is definitely to set yourself up for success. You're going to hear that on the drill grounds, and it's true. You need to take every step that you can in your life to make sure that there's not going to be any interruptions that will deviate your focus from this academy for 4 months. It was absolutely necessary to have all those things lined up that I had, and I can even see times where I didn't have it perfectly lined up and it cost me, whether that was getting a lower score on a test or not being able to practice something that I was going to be tested on as much as I would have. You cannot over prepare, so if you are maxing yourself out, you still got to push harder, put more time in, and focus on this task. 4 months of your whole life.
It's all about mindset. So when I first got here, in my mind, I was like, I'm already graduated, I've made it, but I had just started. But I had already pictured myself as a Long Beach firefighter, and being able to do that, a lot of people are just more, I guess, have that negative ball of energy, or they're afraid or something like that. Having that positive mindset, you're like, I'm gonna pass this, whatever it takes, is probably gonna be the hardest thing I do. And prepare yourself mentally before you get there, and then everything kind of falls in together and it all works out.
You know, you've all worked enormously hard to be here, just like all of the people in this department. It really is a blessing, and never lose sight of that. There's going to be times in the academy, not just during this 16 weeks, but I'm sure throughout the course of your career, there's going to be high points and there's going to be low points. There's going to be times where you're really tested and pushed to your limits, but really draw upon your strengths, draw upon what you've done to get to this point. And when things are difficult, remember that this really is one of the best jobs in the world, and you're going to spend it with some of the greatest people you'll ever meet. And that should give you the strength to get through whatever challenges you find, not just through the Drill Academy, but throughout your career, because it absolutely is worth it.